Imagine a world where every wire, every chip, every circuit speaks its own language. A world of pure potential, but no coordination. This is a computer without an operating system, powerful but directionless. Now picture what happens the moment an operating system arrives. Chaos becomes choreography. Silence becomes communication. Raw capability becomes purpose. The OS doesn't add power, it unlocks it. It gives structure to electricity, intention to hardware, and meaning to the millions of tiny decisions happening every millisecond. It transforms a pile of components into a living, breathing ecosystem where everything knows when to act, how to respond, and why it matters. Without it, the machine is a body without a mind. With it, the machine becomes more than the sum of its parts. It becomes a universe with rules, logic, and direction. So, why do computers need operating systems? What problem are they really solving? At first glance, it seems simple. Manage files, run programs, keep things organized. But the truth runs deeper. Computers need operating systems because raw hardware is chaotic. Because billions of electrical signals firing every second mean nothing without a unifying mind to interpret them. Because power without direction collapses into noise. An operating system steps in as the great translator, the silent negotiator between human intention and machine precision. It decides who gets resources, when tasks run, how memory is shared, and what the machine should prioritize in the next millisecond. It turns conflict into cooperation, randomness into reliability. Without an OS, every program would fight for control. Every device would speak a different dialect. Every action would require reinventing the rules of the machine from scratch. The operating system solves the most fundamental problem in computing: coordination. It creates order where none exists so creativity, productivity, and possibility can emerge. Hardware is powerful, but dumb. It doesn't understand apps, files, or even the idea of a task. It only understands electrical signals, ones and zeros. Without an operating system, every program would need to control every piece of hardware directly. Every app would have to know how to talk to every keyboard, every screen, every storage device, every processor. It would need to manage memory, schedule instructions, handle errors, and negotiate with other programs, all on its own. Not only would that be impossible, it would be chaos. Programs would collide, overwrite each other's data, fight for resources, and crash constantly. Nothing would be predictable. Nothing would be safe. Nothing would scale. The operating system steps in as the universal translator, the layer that gives structure to the machine's raw power. It hides the complexity of hardware behind a clean, consistent interface. So developers can focus on ideas instead of electrical engineering. It turns a pile of circuits into a platform. It turns raw computation into something humans can actually use. The operating system becomes the translator. It takes human-level intentions, open this file, play this video, run this app, and converts them into precise electrical instructions the hardware can execute. But it does more than translate. It interprets, coordinates, and orchestrates. It decides which signals matter, which tasks take priority, and how to divide the machine's power so everything feels instant and seamless. When you tap an icon, you're not just launching an app. You're triggering a cascade of decisions. Allocating memory, scheduling CPU time, checking permissions, loading libraries, activating drivers, and preparing the hardware to respond in microseconds. To you, it feels simple. To the machine, it's a symphony of synchronized operations. And the operating system is the conductor, ensuring every component plays its part at exactly the right moment. Without it, your intentions would never reach the hardware. With it, the machine becomes an extension of your will. A computer has limited resources, processing power, memory, storage. The OS decides who gets what and when. It prevents apps from fighting over resources and keeps the entire system from collapsing. Every moment, dozens, sometimes hundreds, of processes are competing for attention. Some need the CPU for a split second. Some need memory to load data. Some need access to the disk, the network, or the graphics card. Left alone, they would all shout at once. They would overwrite each other's data, starve each other of resources, and grind the machine to a halt. The operating system steps in as the referee. It enforces fairness. It ensures that no single app can dominate the machine or bring everything else down with it. It schedules tasks with microsecond precision, juggling priorities so smoothly that you never notice the complexity beneath the surface. This is how your computer creates the illusion of multitasking. Not by doing everything at once, but by switching between tasks so quickly and intelligently that it feels effortless. Without this constant balancing act, even the most powerful hardware would crumble under its own potential. Without an operating system, every program could access everything: your files, your camera, your system memory. The OS enforces boundaries. It protects you from malicious software, and sometimes from your own mistakes. It creates walls where chaos would otherwise reign. Every app runs in its own sandbox, isolated from the rest of the system. If one crashes, it doesn't take the whole machine down with it. If one misbehaves, it can't quietly peek into your private data or hijack your hardware. The operating system becomes the guardian of the digital world, checking permissions, validating requests, and blocking anything that looks suspicious or unsafe. It ensures that apps only touch what they're allowed to touch, and that your most sensitive information stays exactly where it belongs. Even when you accidentally click the wrong link, open the wrong file, or run something you shouldn't, the OS is there as a safety net, catching errors, containing damage, and keeping the system stable. It's not just a translator or a coordinator. It's a shield. The OS shapes how we experience the machine. It gives us windows, icons, gestures, notifications, the language of interaction. It turns raw computation into something human. It decides what we see, how we touch, and how the machine responds. It transforms abstract processes into visual metaphors we can understand. Folders that feel like containers, buttons that feel clickable, desktops that feel like spaces we can inhabit. The operating system becomes the bridge between two worlds: the cold precision of silicon and the warm intuition of human thought. Every swipe, every click, every animation is carefully crafted to make the machine feel alive, responsive, familiar. It hides the complexity beneath layers of clarity, so technology feels less like a tool and more like an extension of our senses. Without the OS, the computer is just a machine. With it, the computer becomes an experience. We rarely think about it, but every click, every tap, every moment of digital life is made possible by an operating system quietly doing millions of things per second. It manages windows, tracks files, routes data, allocates memory, schedules tasks, and keeps the entire machine balanced on a knife's edge of precision, all without ever asking for attention. It is the silent heartbeat beneath every interaction, the unseen choreography that makes technology feel effortless. We scroll, type, create, connect, never noticing the invisible machinery working in perfect synchrony behind the scenes. The OS is always there, anticipating needs, resolving conflicts, smoothing over complexity, so the experience feels simple, fluid, human. It is the quiet force that turns chaos into clarity, the hidden engine of the digital world. So, why do computers need operating systems? Because without them, the machine has power, but no purpose. The OS gives structure, safety, coordination, and meaning. It is the bridge between human intention and machine execution. It transforms raw capability into usable experience. It turns electrical impulses into actions, hardware into a platform, and complexity into clarity. The operating system is the quiet architect behind every digital moment, the unseen mind that shapes how we work, create, communicate, and explore. It ensures that every tap becomes a command, every command becomes a process, and every process becomes part of a seamless whole. Without it, the computer is just potential energy waiting in the dark. With it, the machine becomes a partner, responsive, reliable, and aligned with what we want to do. That is why operating systems matter. They don't just run our computers, they make them meaningful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next chapter of this digital adventure.